So I just got a delivery of this Lenovo ThinkPad. So I managed to win this on auction for £70, and this is the X270. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got. Alright, so first impressions, apart from it being a little bit dirty, the chassis seems in pretty good condition. I can't see any noticeable marks. Again, all seems to be in pretty good working order. I can't see anything wrong, no keys missing, no trackpad damage. So let's go ahead and fire this up and see what we're working with. So after powering it on, it looks like we've got a fresh installation of Windows 11. Now, we're going to be removing this OS and throwing on a Linux-based OS just to play around with this thing and see what we can actually do. So for now, let's leave this, let's spin it around, crack her open and see what kind of specs we're working with. And there we go. Okay, so it looks pretty clean in the back here, and you'll actually notice something specific to these X270s, which makes them quite unique. You can see that we have an internal battery as well as our external battery that we took off earlier. So still in these laptops, we do actually get modular RAM that we can pop out. And it looks like our model came with a single 8GB stick of DDR4 memory. So you can see that we got a 128GB SSD in here. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, overall it looks pretty clean. We've got a bit of dust here that we can go ahead and clean out, but the laptop looks in pretty good condition. Nothing looks bent or anything, and we have everything that I expected. So this model here then has the i5-7200U, as we said, 8GB of RAM and a 128GB SSD. The listing here is exactly what it did say, so all seems to be good there. So the purpose of today's video then is to find out, is the X270 still a viable, cheap laptop choice in 2026? So I'm going to put this all back together, go ahead and boot it up. We'll start off with looking at Windows 11 just to see how that runs and performs on this hardware, and then we'll go ahead and flash Linux onto it to see how much more we can get out of this and also what we can run. So with Windows 11 Pro all set up and ready to go, you can see the feature that I was talking about here. You can see that we actually have two batteries, the internal one and the external one. While this laptop with the i5-7200U and 8GB of DDR4 memory can perfectly run Windows 11, just because all of the bloat, you're not going to get the best performance. I mean, we are sitting doing essentially nothing here, and we're already close to, you know, we're 35% memory usage, which isn't amazing. So I think that we can definitely get some better performance if we switch over to Linux. So I'm going to go ahead and flash my favorite distro, Linux Mint Debian, and we're going to see how the performance compares to Windows 11. And no surprise, it should be much better. All right, so as you can see, we now have Linux Mint Debian running on the X270. Pulled up fast fetch here, you can see that we've got the Intel HD graphics 620 along with our i5 that we spoke about. And if you have a look at the memory usage down here, you can see that we're using significantly less at only 15%, only 1 gig of our 8 gig of memory in use. So much better, much lighter OS, and this is what I'd personally run if I was going to keep this laptop to daily drive. We know that this has the special feature of the two batteries, but in a real world application, what can it actually do for you? And that's what we're going to go ahead and test right now. So to test one of the use cases, I'm someone that's into home servers and home labbing. So I want to see if I can run a simple home server, a home lab, a home media server setup just from this X270. I mean, we've literally got a built-in UPS with those double batteries, and I think this thing has more than enough power, even with the 8 gigs of RAM, to run a simple media server like Jellyfin. So we're going to go ahead and test that out now, see what kind of performance we get and how this actually does. For only £70, if this works well, this would be a pretty cheap home server to have. Now, on the topic of why this would actually make a pretty decent home server, is we still have one of these, an Ethernet port that's actually built right into the laptop. So if I was going to set this up correctly, I'd definitely go ahead and use Proxmox to be able to turn this into a home server. It's what I actually run on my real home servers, but because we're just trying to do this for test purposes to see how it performs, we're actually going to go ahead and do a different method. So instead, I'm going to go ahead and just install CasaOS and just use it as a local host. So we'll go ahead and run the installer, and I'll get back to you once this is finished. So heading over to localhost, you can see that we now have been presented with the CasaOS login page. So I'm going to create an account real quick and show you what the dashboard looks like. All right, so as you can see, this is CasaOS all running. On my other PC here, I'm streaming from Jellyfin, as you can see, and just got some playback information up here just to see how it's actually running. But yeah, watching an episode right here, and our CPU usage is only sitting at 12%, only 27% usage of RAM, so plenty of Go in this machine still to be able to run possibly image as well if you wanted to have a Google Photos alternative, or even some sort of SMB share if you were frequently transferring files between machines. So this laptop can definitely do it. As you can see, I'm having no lag on the playback. It seems all perfectly fine and stable thanks to those Intel HD graphics. So yeah, I would say that you could definitely use this as a home server. And as you can see, we're still running just purely on battery life. We've still got 3 hours left at this rate with our first battery, and then the second battery is still fully charged. And obviously keep in mind that this is running a full desktop OS as well. If you were to actually use Proxmox, I imagine that you'd be getting a much better battery life. And to be fair, you would probably keep this plugged in at all times anyways. You've just got the batteries there, well, 2 batteries there for kind of like a double backed up UPS in case you had some sort of power outage and needed your server to keep running. So I'm going to say that this is a success. I think that pretty much achieves what I was looking to do today. So we've proved that it can run as a home server and for relatively cheap as well. I mean, you could also definitely daily drive this laptop if you just wanted something that was compact and you could throw in a bag very easily. So for £70, I think this is still a pretty good deal in 2026. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy the video, make sure you subscribe. Peace out.